Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, RoadtoRoota.com. With your morning horn disease, your sip of chaga coffee. Lots to think about these days in our markets, in our lives. Things like Hawaii make me think, are the good guys really winning? I'll get to that in a second. But silver. Now it is Tuesday, which is the cutoff day for reporting for the commitment of traders. Silver is pretty much flat. Little slam this morning. The question is, will the commercials slam any more to cover more shorts? Are there more shorts to cover if they do slam? I mean, they don't want to go deeper short than they can cover because that defeats the purpose of the manipulation. So I think they're right around. I mean, time-wise, it would be pretty quick if silver jumped back over those moving averages. If you look back here in March, it took them, let's see, that's 6 days plus 10 days. So 16 days of living beneath the moving averages before they basically exhausted all their manipulation moves to cover their shorts. And they let it run back up, and then they shorted on the top. That's how the game works. So we've been under the moving averages for, let's see, the 7th to the 15th. So only 8 days. So we will see. I do think there's just too many people that know about this game now for it to go on much longer. And yes, I do think the other side of the trade, they're not dumb traders. The tech traders aren't dumb. I think some of them are colluding with the commercials and the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury runs everything, by the way. The U.S. Treasury, with a click of a mouse, can destroy the world. I hear the Russian ruble's having a problem right now. A click of a mouse, they can destroy the world with computers and derivatives. I've been screaming this for 20 years now. Well, no, I really can't. When they kicked me out of the Silver Summit in 2000, I think it was 2009, they kicked me out of the Silver Summit because I stood up in front of everybody and I said, here's how it's done. Here's the amount of derivatives traded. Here's the computer programs invented by Alan Greenspan like in the early 1970s. And you people need to stand up. It was a bunch of CEOs of mining companies. I was big into mining company investment because they hold such wealth in the ground. But there's so many risks related to mining companies, not just getting it out of the ground, but nationalization. When the system falls apart, I wouldn't want to hold a mining company. So that's just me, though, because I know what's going to happen to the other things. But yeah, it's all computers and derivatives. Now, with the good guys, they want to destroy the bad guys. They want to blame the largest riggers, J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, all those, the criminals who got their hands slapped back in 2019, I think it was, 2020, when they came down on 19, most of them. I think the JP Morgan case was 2020, I think, when it was finally settled and they got a 3-year deferred prosecution. That's coming up, by the way. Just another thing to add to September of 2023. If JP Morgan gets past the date, I think it's the 25th of September, then they're free to rig again the silver market. Now, they've kind of been out of it and have been using their affiliates to rig the market. You can see that in the COT data. So we're getting up to, I mean, it is D-Day coming very fast. The banking system's about to wobble too. But first, I want to talk quickly about the gold-silver ratio. Gold-silver ratio is up at 84.39 currently. That ratio should be well below 10. We know, again, computers and derivatives have rigged the market at least since the Alan Greenspan programs that were initiated at the Fed under Arthur Burns back in the early 1970s. Yes, it was Alan Greenspan who invented our current electronic financial system. He was a computer programmer back then. That's how he got to be head of the Fed, not because, he was the biggest gold bug in the world back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. When he got to the head of the Fed, if you know what happened to Greenspan, like months after he got put as the head of the Fed by Reagan, There was a computer-driven collapse of the stock market in 1987. That was Alan Greenspan clicking his mouse, trying to destroy the system. It didn't work. It had to be bigger, so they allowed all the bubbles to pop. That's why they call Alan Greenspan bubbles, is he allowed so many bubbles to be blown, knowing all along it had to be a bigger crash to destroy the unbacked fiat monetary system. Now we have bubbles, ungodly amounts, $2+ quadrillion worth of derivatives are about to blow. JP Morgan will probably be the trigger, because you need a bad guy to blame. And is there any better bad guy than Jamie Dimon and his company JP Morgan over the history of humanity? There might have been others that are worse, HSBC, for example, but I think it would be appropriate for Jamie Dimon to lead the company that destroys the financial markets. We need to blame the bad guys. Remember, we're going to blame politicians, we're going to blame the banksters, and we're going to blame anybody but ourselves, because we're too afraid to take our matters into our own hands. Someone, I've had a couple emails complaining that, oh, Bix, if the regulators are gone, everybody will lose money in scams. Well, you should lose money. If you're betting money into a scam, you shouldn't be betting money. Keep what you worked for. Keep it. Unless you understand how rigged these games are, you're going to lose it. You will lose it. And what happens when people have nothing to lose? They lose it. Absolutely. Will it be bad, Max? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the people, the good guys behind the scenes, we've had, and don't tell me there's no good guys. Obviously there are. Yes, true. Hawaii proves that the bad guys are still around. But Trump would have never been elected president had there not been good guys. They control the voting systems. The bad guys controlled the voting systems, and they rigged it every day. And I think Trump and his band of merry men, they're going after him in Georgia, which is so insane. And what happened? The first Trump impeachment was all about Trump asking the Ukraine to look into Joe Biden. And now we find out, yeah, it was right. They were taking money from the Ukraine. There was something to look at. And yet they impeached Trump on that. He stayed in office, but that was the first impeachment. Second impeachment is January 6th. We all know that was a false flag. Everybody knows if they have half a brain. But a lot of the people who are brainwashed don't have use of that half a brain. Hopefully they'll wake up one day. Anyway, gold-silver ratio. I am being drawn more and more to the golden ratio. The golden ratio is 1.618. Now this happens throughout. I'm trying to find in my soul where the natural gold-silver ratio is, because we can't determine the gold-silver ratio. There can't be someone who says that this is it, because they've been doing that. And that's how we got to 80-1. And should it be based on what's coming out of the ground? What should it be based on what's above ground? Should it be based on anything it's based on? It should be a hell of a lot less than based on the COMEX derivative price of gold and silver. So I am leaning towards a golden ratio. The golden ratio is used to make the Fibonacci circles. You find it all throughout the natural world. It's a very famous, if you're a mathematician, you know what the golden ratio is. It's 1.618. That's closer to where I think the gold-silver ratio should be if it was freely traded. 1.618 to 1. Now, will we hit that directly? No. We'll have to go through a bunch of shit before we get there. I mean, people will be saying, okay, the gold-silver ratio is broken, but here's what we have above ground, 6 billion ounces of each. It should be 1-to-1. And people are saying, no, silver's used in all this other stuff, and there's been 60 billion ounces of silver mined in the world. They'll go in and get it out of the landfills and all that. There's arguments every which way, but nobody knows the real, true gold-silver ratio. And I think a natural ratio is much more indicative of where it should be. Jenny Moonstone's been saying, hey, these are not, it's not a father-son thing, the moon and the sun, gold and silver. They are more like equals. So very important. Hold on one second here. I have something to deal with. Hang on. Never mind. I get beeped all the time for no reason. It's this phones. Look out for these. It's like having a spy in your house. But we can't live without them. I can't. So yeah, I think the gold silver ratio, I've been saying 3-to-1. I'm talking about when I'll sell my silver because I think it's overvalued. That's when you want to sell an asset, when you think it's overvalued, or you find something else to invest in. I won't sell it for cash, obviously. I'll trade my 5 ounces of silver for a mansion or something like that. But I've been at 3-to-1 for a long time, and 3-to-1 made sense because that's what's coming out of the ground. 7-to-1 is coming out of the ground, but 60% of that is going into the industrial use, so it's not 7-to-1. It should be something much less than that. I'm in the neighborhood of 3-to-1. I have been for a long time. But there's so many other things about gold that will change that ratio. For example, I think there's massive amounts of gold, much more than what they're saying. And when people know that, gold won't be as scarce as they think. I don't think it is. I don't know what the number is. I think it's over 1 million tons. But Jeffrey Christian and friends will tell you it's 200,000 tons that's ever been mined in history. That's a bold-faced lie. They are lying through their teeth. Read Gold Warriors by Sterling and Peggy Seagrave. There's a million. Look at my research on the gold in the Grand Canyon. Why didn't they dig all that gold, the billions of ounces of gold, out of the banks of the Colorado River? Because the bankers set the price at $20 an ounce back in 1900, which was below, by 1920, it was well below the cost of extraction. It's still there, my friends. Why do you think Joe Biden locked up another 1 million acres around the Grand Canyon? They know what's about to happen. So yeah, I think the gold-silver ratio should be where the natural gold ratio is. It's called the golden number, 1.618. It's represented by the letter pi, not pi the 3.14, but the letter pi. People get confused on that too. Anyway, yes, I do think we will go 1 ounce of gold will get you 1.618 ounces of silver. It might be the other way around too. I don't know. Anyway, Harvey Organ's keeping a track on what's going on with exchange for physicals. This is the contracts really being delivered on the COMEX. They can't do it in open sight, so they have to send them over to London where they will be delivered. We're at 81 million ounces right now. I think another 4, which is another 2, so 83 million ounces as of yesterday. He's thinking we might hit the record, which is 200 million ounces, which would be really interesting. I do think we're coming on the last days of delivery. And speaking of that, the U.S. Mint has updated their Silver Eagle sales. And it's a huge jump. They went from 800,000 to almost 800,000 to almost 1.6 million. What does this tell me? I already know one side of the equation. Jack Sermon of the U.S. Mint, the head of the U.S. Mint, told me that they had increased the amount of silver blanks that they gave to him for his sales. It'll be somewhere around 19 to 20 million. But this jump, if they do keep going at this rate, that's 3 million ounces just in August they'll hit. So that would put us at, 16. So that's only 3 million left. So maybe September, another 3 million, and poof, that's it. Maybe they're going to shut down the U.S. Mint in September. I don't know. I think it's Silver Eagles. Anything below $30, get your hands on them. A lot of people have been. Congratulations. If you want to get some Silver Eagles under $30, contact my friend Will Lair at perpetualassets.com. Perpetualassets.com. He'll get you Silver Eagles under $30. You got to buy like $1,000 worth. But yeah, Silver Eagles under 30, take it. Take it. Because this is not going to last long. Hanging out under the moving averages, the only reason the bankers want that number there is to cover shorts. As soon as they can't cover any more shorts, they got to go long, and that's when tech traders right now are shorting. They got to cover their shorts, and it's bang time. So keep an eye on that. Okay. Really interesting. I'm always intrigued by September 11th because September 11th was a bad guy attack on the United States in 2001, and it was the good guys trying to take down the bad guys in 2008. 2008, the big day of the financial crisis of 2008 was on September 11th, where they pulled $500 million out of the money market funds, and there was a run on the bank, so says Senator Kanjorski. There was a run on the banks, and they were hours away from shutting down the entire financial system. That's what we're going to run into again. Now, will they do it on September 11th? Hey, why not? There's so many days that between now and then that it could happen, but I think I'm going to keep an eye on September 11th. But just right here, this is from the U.S. Mint, is releasing a U.S. Marine Corps 1-ounce silver medal on September 11th. Very interesting if you ask me. And it's cheap for them, under $75. Over triple the price of silver. The U.S. Mint is a fraud right now, run by Ventures Gibson. They try to make money. And why would the U.S. Mint try to make money? They don't try to make money. They try to disguise and assist in the manipulation of the price of silver, especially with their hedge books. So I'll buy one of these because I like the U.S. Marine Corps, and I know they are guarding the Grand Canyon, by the way. It is the Marine Corps that is in charge of guarding the gold in the Grand Canyon. So really interesting that this coin is coming out on September 11th at noon Eastern time. Now, would I buy this coin as an investment? No. I buy coins like this, and I do. I just got a American Liberty. Pretty cool. The Tree of Liberty coin. I give them away as presents. Birthdays, Christmas. My nephews love me. I bribe them with silver coins, but they have a nice collection for their future, and they get to understand what value in money is. So they'll be real happy when silver goes to $5,000 an ounce, right? Maybe. So yeah, I do find it interesting that on 9/11 the U.S. Mint is releasing their Marine Corps coin. The reason I'm not real excited about this, though, is that it's a medal and not actual money. Not everything the United States Mint makes is money for the future. This is not denominated on the front or the back as $1, as the Silver Eagle is, a couple of the coins. I think it's important for the future because I do think we're going back to gold and silver as money, and this will be like a collector's item. It won't be money because they didn't denominate it in money. But there are other coins that are denominated, like the Buffalo and Morgan silver dollars, things like that. All right, that's a side note. I think the bank problems are coming to a head right now. Here's an article on Wall Street Journal. Some banks struggle to report uninsured deposits correctly. This is just hysterical. How could you struggle to report uninsured deposits at your bank? It's your bank. You should know. See, here's the thing. The banks don't really understand what FDIC is and how it works. Not everybody is covered $250,000. If you don't do anything, all you got is $250,000 of coverage. As a company, you have $250,000 in coverage. A married couple has $500,000 in coverage because there's two of them if they're both on the account. But you can get a hell of a lot more coverage by adding beneficiaries. Let me show you where it is. Here it is. Go to the FDIC and go to their estimator called EDIE, E-D-I-E. FDIC's Electronic Deposit Insurance Estimator. I've done this, and it's really cool. Not that I had over $250,000 in the bank, but I wanted to see how to do this. So I go to EDIE, and it all it does is it's really easy. Gives you your bank. You put your bank name in. Is it personal? Is it government? Is it a business account? And then you step 2. And then after you do that, it gives you who's the owner and who are the beneficiaries. Each beneficiary is another $250,000. If you have 5 beneficiaries, it gets a little complicated because you move off. Your 250 doesn't count anymore. Make sure you know these beneficiaries and make sure they'll give you your money because it goes directly to them. The beneficiaries count each for 250,000 as well. So if you have 5 beneficiaries, that gives you $1,250,000 in coverage. But the banks should know this, but they don't. And a lot of these banks are just run by, automatic crazy people in accounting and everything. Banks will be gone very soon, by the way. It seems like an easy question for a banker to answer. How much of its deposits are covered by federal deposit insurance and how much are uninsured? Turns out this is hard stuff for banks. Case in point, Provident Bank, by the way, that's one bank will go down before, I'd say, a month and a half. On February 14th, the Jersey City, New Jersey lender said its uninsured deposits were $5 billion as of December 31st. On June 13th, it slashed that number to $3.1 billion, or 29% of total deposit. There's more. On July 14th, Provident raised the number to $4.9 billion, and then on July 28th, Provident raised it to $5.3 billion, or 50%. Now, here's what they do. Depending on if they want more uninsured depositors or less uninsured depositors, they'll take off beneficiaries of people's accounts. You need to keep checking whether or not they removed a beneficiary from your account. And they'll do it like on a mass scale. They'll say, okay, no more than 2 beneficiaries on any account, and they'll just wipe them all off, which means you don't have the kind of insurance you think you have. You better check with your bank right away, and it should be listed on your account. So take a look at that, make sure it works, because this is coming into play. FDIC to propose comprehensive changes to regional UX bank living wills. This comes out now when the banks are literally being gutted by interest rates rising. They're literally being gutted. The unrealized losses are literally being destroying all banks right now. And so the head of the FDIC, this guy who you're going to see a lot more of, Chairman Martin Grunberg, I've been talking about him for a couple months now. The FDIC only wants to deposit or to insure the minimum because they know all banks are going to crash. And then they have to the powers that be will have to reallocate money. That's why Social Security is a great way to reallocate money because it gives the people who've worked the longest and hardest the more money first. And then the people just starting out will get a little money of the new money, gold and silver coinage, I believe. So everything's coming to a head right now. Keep an eye on that. Argentina going down, out of options and money. Argentina presses the panic button. This is like, again, the people of Argentina, it shows, this is the interesting part. Who's going to really be thrown out and completely not know what to do with themselves when the system falls apart? It'll be the rich people. Poor people never had anything. All they had was debt. All the debt will be gone. They'll be real happy. But the rich people literally thought they had it made in the shade for their retirement, their everything. They're the ones who are going to be pissed off, but they'll have the least ability to cope in a world of no money. So, yeah, Argentina's going through it again. Anybody who has Argentinian bonds, good luck ever getting a penny out of that. So more collapsing as we go. By the way, Argentina is the number 10 producer of silver, 800 metric tons per year, which is what, $200 million? Is that $200 million? 200 million ounces? Let's find out. 25 million ounces come out of Argentina a year. It's a little amount for Argentina. But what if the price of silver wasn't $23? What if the price of silver was $2,000 an ounce, which I think is closer to fair market value? So you take that, 25 million times 2,000 an ounce, that's $5 billion. That's a $5 billion difference. And what about $10,000 an ounce? And on and on and on. All these countries that produce silver, mostly in South America, Mexico being the number one, they'll be the richest country in the world. And they should be, because they've given up a third of the silver. All the silver mined and used up, Mexico has produced a third of it. And yet it's still a poor country. They're not dumb. They got taken over by the criminal banksters. And then China obviously has all these products to produce for their own citizens, by the way. Nothing will be coming to the U.S. from China. Get ready for that. Peru obviously has been destroyed by the bankers. Chile, Bolivia, all these countries will be doing extremely well when silver breaks through the criminal hold right now. For all you crypto lovers, horrible news coming out of Europe. First ever EU spot Bitcoin ETF launches on Euronext Amsterdam Exchange. I heard a bunch of people say, yeah, we have an ETF. This is a tool of manipulation. So, crypto derivatives are tools of manipulation. That's all they're good for. No, Bix, they'll get the big money in. No, the big money will use it to manipulate the price. The CFTC chairman, what was his name? Chris Giancarlo told us that. They said we have to get crypto derivatives on board, otherwise the price will just keep going up, up, and up. That's what he said. The head of the CFTC knows exactly, this is the ex-head, knows exactly what derivatives are used for. Price suppression. So I'm not happy about the spot Bitcoin ETF. By the way, when the system crashes, all this crap will be gone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, those interested in what's going on in Hawaii, like I said, let's take a few days, weeks, months to get the full story. Turns out the chief of police of Maui, John Pellier, was the incident commander in Vegas during the shooting. So we know it's a deep state operation, false flag shit. And then he brought in his number 2 guy, new Maui police chief chooses Las Vegas colleague as deputy. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Can't go into it, but yeah, it's not good. And you go to what was the purpose? It was the last holdout of the native Hawaiians, their own land. You notice on either side of that, these developed, mega structures, but just that area was still the natives' property. The old Lahaina was the capital of the original Hawaiian island back in the day, before white man came. Okay, and I just want all this shit going on with Trump. They did list the grand jurors. I think it was a mistake. So all the grand jurors and who's in the deep state on that front. All that's conspiracy stuff. You're not allowed to talk about that on YouTube. Because that's not part of the control structure. We can't let you talk about that stuff. So I won't go into it. I do on the private road the latest Ginny Moonstone reading, Spiritual Silver Nights, the gold and silver ratio, and the real cause of the Miami fires. Go check that out on the private road at RoadtoRoota.com. Click subscribe. Oh, by the way, you get free updates there on the left at RoadtoRoota.com on the public road. And click subscribe today to join the private road. All right? This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.